What's up, guys? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with SPY, Tesla, and the overall markets, and break down what's going on with the economic calendar moving forward as we're seeing more updates coming out. Not to mention some more data involving Tesla sales. But just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I'm saying as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. Deposits $2,000, you're guaranteed 30, and the offer ends at the end of March. Anyways, as far as the market's going, I just want to mention that Tesla has this resistance right here where this yellow trend line happens to be. There's a gap down here around this 240 area. So we're going to see if Tesla gets some kind of pullback move. And then if it attempts to bounce after that, if we can try to make a higher low here, I'll be watching this very, very closely, especially as we could draw out a trend line just like this. But whether or not we get a bounce depends on some factors I want to talk about. So there are lots of things affecting Tesla for now. The first thing is that there are negative headlines coming out that Tesla's sales are slumping. Even the American sales are down a bit. I've seen a lot of headlines about this as we have the official registrations in the US showing 11% decline in January. And then for February, although the data is not 100% official yet, Tesla only reports its American sales at least quarterly. But the thing is, according to Kelley Blue Book, the data suggests that they only got about 43,000 sales in the US in the month of February. That's also a big decline compared to 60,000 in February of 2023. So in 2024 February, there's a slight decline in their sales again. We'll see if the Model Y refresh could help to offset this, but for now, I'm seeing some negative headlines about that. Now, as time goes on, today's Friday, March 14th. Keep in mind at 10 o'clock a.m., that's 30 minutes after the stock market opens, we have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Report, the 5-year inflationary expectations, and more current conditions data all coming out that could cause more volatility. So make sure you're ready just to be safe, because this data might show not so good looking numbers, because I do believe that consumer sentiment is a little bit weak right now. So you want to be very careful. At 10 o'clock a.m., we'll see if we get some kind of pullback move or not. And if we do get some kind of pullback move, will we just make a higher low and continue to push from here? There are many reasons why the market is holding up now, especially because we have some catalysts coming out. The first thing is that there's a government shutdown that could be coming if we don't see the Senate pass the spending bill. But what typically happens is they argue. Then at the very last minute, they end up passing the bill. And there's a good chance that, it's very possible that someone knows something, and, this could be why the market's holding up. If the market sees a big rally, it could be because they already know this is going to pass. And if it does pass, that could actually be very, very beneficial, at least for the market going into next week. So we'll see what happens. Do we see a government shutdown? And do we see our Senate end up passing the bill? There's a very good chance they're going to pass it. And then that could help us avoid the shutdown. That's going to be very important. So we'll see how it goes. When it comes to Donald Trump and his tariffs, so President Trump has been talking about now imposing 200% tariffs on European alcoholic products, especially because they're planning a 50% tariff on American whiskey. So it's going back and forth right now. I didn't see any new updates since then. Yesterday, we did see Donald Trump say that he also wants to, not bend over on his tariffs on his steel and aluminum, and he maintained a very, very fixated stance on them. That is what caused a little bit more fear for the markets. He also threatened more potential tariffs on Canada, but for the time being, I haven't seen anything new since then, so that's a good sign. Hopefully, we don't see way too much over the next couple of weeks, because the next time at which they're going to be announcing more tariffs is going to be the beginning of April. So hopefully, we get a quiet period for a week or two. I do hope it's not going to be as intense as the last couple of weeks, and that could help the market to some extent. Lastly, when it comes to the whole situation involving Russia and Ukraine, right now we don't have a ceasefire deal done yet. Russia is saying more work has to be done in the deal for them to agree. Ukraine is trying to agree right now, according to reports. But if they come up with a consensus by like the weekend, that could also be good for the markets. So just keep that in mind. Lastly, this is what our earnings calendar looks like. Nothing too crazy so far. And there's still a lot of fear that's making up the majority of sentiment right now for the markets. So focusing on the charts, Tesla's looking a little bit more bullish. If we could hold this trend line right here, I do want to mention that it's possible that we see a somewhat downside move to fill this gap down here, if we get some negative consumer sentiment data. So keep that in mind. And then if we hold this trend line and if we continue to make higher lows, there is a chance Tesla could be going for that 250 area. If that breaks, We have this gap to fill right here around this 262 area for a potential reversal. If we lose the trend line and we end up losing 240, we could turn back down towards this low at 235, but we need to see us bounce from there. So if we lose 240, watch 235, if those two fails, then yes, this will return more bearish. As long as we're above this low right here, as long as we can try to hold above 235, okay, if we get some kind of pullback move, that would be completely normal with Michigan consumer sentiment data coming out. As long as Tesla could hold this low at 235, we have the potential to try to continue this move to try to fill this gap at 262. So far it's looking better during the pre-markets, but of course this depends on the Michigan consumer sentiment data and more news that comes out. If the market's optimistic about the government shutdown being avoided, this could be better, at least for charts. Now on ES, we're trying to hold this yellow trend line. Just because we gap up or try to push in the morning does not mean we're just going to pump forever, so keep that in mind. Could be another pullback move. We might be looking for that. And then if we can make a higher low, I want to see us reclaim 56.40 or so. If we could reclaim that, there's a good chance that this could try to reverse and start pushing for the 5700s or above. If we end up losing support at 5500, we could be dumping a lot more. We'll have to see how well we end up holding up. So we're going to be looking for some kind of downside move first before it tries this rebound. I'll be watching that very, very closely. So keep that in mind, especially as time goes on. In terms of SPY, we also have this bullish divergence that's developing right over here. I need to see us break past 560. So if that breaks, we're going to be looking for a retest of this blue trend line. The blue trend line right here is this is going to be our resistance, which is now going to become our it was previous resistance. It's also going to be resistance again. So in that case, I want to see SPY get back above this blue trend line to really reverse. My gut feeling is that there's going to be a downside move coming. So we kind of push like this, and we might see some kind of downside move. We'll see if we end up breaking the low or not. If we can make a higher low, it's going to be a good sign because of this Michigan consumer sentiment data. And then we'll see if we get a big bounce from there. We could try to reverse. It's a possibility if SPY could hold these lows. And then if we get that reversal, you want to see us reclaim 560. If that breaks, we're going to be looking for a squeeze back up to like 567 or so. I want to see us break past this blue trend line like this, get back above like 565. Then we're going to be looking quite bullish. We're not ready yet, so let's not get too ahead of ourselves for now. We're just going to focus on if this thing can make a higher low, which I think we're going to get some kind of downside move first. If we make that higher low, then we're looking for a reversal in the trend, and we could be looking for a bounce next week. We could be looking for a bounce at the end of the day, if not by next week, if we make a higher low. So look for a little bit of a dip. We'll see if we could hold around 555 or so. If we don't lose this low, if we hold 550, then this could see some kind of reversal. Keep that in mind. On the QQQ, I want to see us break past 477. If that breaks, we're looking for an attempt for 485. If we end up coming down, we do have a gap to fill. So I do think there's going to be some kind of pullback move coming. So we might pull back like this to fill this gap. We have to see if this low holds or not. If we could hold 467, then I'm going to be looking for a reversal to 477. If that breaks, the 480s are likely going to be coming. If we lose 467, we could be dumping a lot more, but we're looking for a dip and a bounce as the most likely possibility. For the Russell 2000, we have a bullish divergence right here. There's a gap down here, so we have to be kind of careful. We could be returning back down to fill this gap around this 199 or so area, but we need to make a higher low. If we make a higher low, we want to see a break past 202, and once we get that break, we're looking for a big reversal move. So look for some kind of potential pullback move, especially if we have a gap below. As long as we make a higher low, we're looking for some kind of reversal. For NQ, NQ has a double bottom-like structure. If we break 19,500, we're looking for an attempt to push for this resistance like this. I want to see us get back above like 19,600 to push for 19,889. If that breaks, we're looking for the 20,000s pretty easily. Now, we're at the 20 right now, the 20 EMA, so I wouldn't be surprised if we get some kind of pullback move first, but then we're going to be looking to see if we can get that bounce, and then we'll see how big the pullback is. Do we break the lower? Do we see just a slight dip? And if we can hold this low here at 19,000, as long as 19,000 holds, this could still try to churn from there and try to push back up towards the higher 19,000. So just keep that in mind. Bitcoin's also trying to push right over here. We're going to be watching to see how well this holds up. I want to see it break past 84,000. That's going to be a tough resistance. Will we get a rejection and move back down there, or do we end up seeing a dip and then a higher low to bounce? So watch that very closely. Nvda is trying to push into after hours, during the pre-markets. Break past 120, we're looking for attempts to fill this imbalance at 124. There's potential, but 120 is going to be kind of tough Tesla is holding up decently, but like I said, we have to break 250 to continue. I want to see Apple hold 210. If that holds, we could try some kind of reversal move. Other things are looking quite decent, at least thus far. For coin, I noticed that we have this gap down here. So we're watching to see if we come down to fill this gap. So watch and see, do we dip to fill this gap and then bounce like this, or do we end up making a higher low? So we'll see, at least for now. But we're watching this 179 area if we dip here and then see some kind of rebound. In terms of Amazon, we have 197 as resistance. We need to see if this could base at 192. Look for a pullback move. Maybe it's like 195 to 194, and we'll see if we bounce. If we could hold 192, this is going to likely reverse. Meta, we're looking for this to hold 585 today. If we could hold that, there's a good chance this will try to bounce back up to 610. If that breaks, this is going to start, bouncing even more, but it depends if we can hold support or not. Microsoft needs to hold 377. If we dipped it, then we could be looking for a bounce. We'll see if that ends up holding. And then for Google, we could be looking for a dip to 165 before it tries to bounce. The VIX is still looking bearish. It has a gap to fill above, so I'm not sure if we get some kind of bounce first before it dips. The market may see a pullback move coming just temporarily, but the question is, can we make a higher low? If we make a higher low, if SPY and these others can make higher lows, if Tesla can make a higher low and hold 235 to 240, then we could be looking for a nice bounce today. So please keep that in mind. Anyways, that's it for this one. Thank you for listening, guys, and peace out.